Hello everybody. So welcome back to our SSCMA classes. So we are going to start our new chapter of international taxation, and which is of advanced ruling, equalization, levy and anti-avoidance rule. So today we are going to discuss about advanced ruling. Now, what is this advanced ruling means? Advanced ruling means a decision which is taken in advance, which as the name says, as the word says, what advance ruling, which means the decision is taken by a board in advance. Okay, but which board am I talking about here? The board is Board of Advanced Ruling, BAAR. Okay, we are talking about BAAR. So let's go and check out who can be the applicant in related to this section. Okay, so section 245N(b) says about the applicant related to the different class of section 245N defining advanced ruling are as follows. Number first thing, the person is non-resident. Okay, if a person is non-resident, in that case a transaction which is undertaken or is proposed to be undertaken by him. Okay, in this case, who are the applicant under advanced ruling, who can file the application for advanced ruling? Number first is about non-resident. Okay, second, resident. On behalf of non-resident, on behalf of whom? On behalf of non-resident, the resident can apply for advanced ruling. Okay, but such determination shall include the determination of question of law and question of fact. Is it clear? Yes, such determination shall include, which include question of law and or question of fact specified in the application, which is going to be specified in the application. So far we have two applicants, those are non-resident and second one is of resident. Let's go and find out the other remaining applicants. So the third says about the resident of class of category of a person which is notified by central government. Here notified resident person by CG. Okay, now who are these? CG has notified in a resident in a relation to SSC tax liability arising out of one or more transaction value which is more than 100 crore. Is it clear? The transaction which value exceeds 100 crore. Okay, those resident are the class or category of a person notified by central government. Okay, so the fourth is the resident of class or class of a person notified by central government. Again, is this repeating condition, repeating applicant? Because third was also stating that the resident of class of category of a person notified by central government. Again, fourth is saying that the resident of class or category of a person notified by central government. Here we are talking about PSU, the public sector undertaking. Now let's go for the point which is written in this condition. An issue related to computation of total income. Okay, an issue which is related to computation of total income which is pending before income tax authority or ITAT. Okay, the issue which is related to the computation of total income, whose case is pending before either income tax authority or ITAT. Okay, and a public sector undertaking has been notified by central government. We are talking about government companies here. We are talking about government companies here. Is it clear, everybody? And the last one is of the resident or non-resident. As I also said that in the very beginning, we have taken non-resident, right? We have taken resident. So why in the fifth point we are again taking the applicants are resident or non-resident? Earlier were those resident or non-resident who have already undertaken or is proposed to be undertaken by the transaction is already undertaken, right? The transaction is already undertaken or proposed to be undertaken. Okay, but in this point, fifth point, we are talking about this resident or non-resident are the person who undertaken by such applicant is going to be happen in future. Okay, they just want to ask whether this transaction comes in impersonation avoidance agreement as per chapter 10A or not. Okay, in this case the transaction is going to happen in future. Okay, and the resident or non-resident want to simply clarify that whether the transaction comes in imposition of GAAR or not. Is it clear? So we have 5 applicant. First is non-resident, second is resident, again a person, a class or category of a person notified by central government, which is the where the transaction value of such person is more than 100 crore. Okay, the fourth is again the same point, but which says of the resident or class of category of a person notified by central government, but in case we are talking about PSU, the government companies. And the last, resident or non-resident, we are going to take this transaction is to be done in future. Is it clear? Yes. Now let's read out what is written in the section 245 and subsection A. Okay, let's find out. Advance ruling means a transaction which has been undertaken or proposed to be undertaken by non-resident applicant. Is this part clear? Yes. Okay, the transaction in relation to tax liability of non-resident arising out of transaction which has been undertaken or proposed to be undertaken by resident application. They are talking about on behalf of non-resident. Resident is going to propose which has been taken or proposed to be undertaken by resident applicant. Okay, application which with such non-resident as a termination shall include the determination of question of law, okay, or question of fact is to be specified in the application. Okay, let's go for the other section of this part, section 245 and subsection A, clause 2A, which says the transaction is related to tax liability of a resident applicant arising out of transaction which has been undertaken or is to be proposed to be undertaken by applicant, and such determination shall include determination of question of law, fact specified in the application. And the other section says 245 and A clause 3 says the in respect of any issue related to computation of total income which is pending before whom income tax authority or ITAT, right, such determination shall or decision shall include the determination of decision of, again this is repeated, question of law or fact. Okay, the same thing is actually written here, I am just reading out. So another section 245 and A4 says about a decision where an arrangement which is proposed to be undertaken by a person being a resident, non-resident is imposition avoidance agreement as per chapter 10A or not. So these are the points actually which I already explained here and I just read out them. Okay, so let's jump into the other section of application to bar, section 245Q. 245Q. Now we have to see the application is in prescribed form. Okay, and the forms are 34C, 34D, 34DA, EA. C, D, D, A, E, E, okay, and it should be in a manner stating question on which ruling is to be sought. Is it clear? Now, application is to be filled within 30 days from the date of application, which is to be done within the 30 days. Now, what are the fees prescribed? What are the fees prescribed here? For PSU, public sector undertaking, and last point, which means fourth point and last point, which was fifth of resident, non-resident. Here we are talking about this and this. For fourth and for fifth, okay, the fees is going to be 10,000. The fees is going to be 10,000. Is it clear? Yes. For other SSC, for any other SSC whose transaction is up to 100 crore. Okay, in that case fees is going to be 2 lakh. Okay, if the transaction is more than 100 crore and up to 300, which would be the fees would be of 5 lakh rupees. Okay, what if the transaction is more than 300 crore? In that case the application fees is going to be 10 lakh, 2, 5, 10, 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 100 crore, then 100 to 300 crore and more than 300 crore. Is it clear? So the other SSC are of first, second, third condition. Okay, so let's go and see these 1, 2 and 3. We are talking about this non-resident, resident and the person who is notified by central government, that is a person who is having transaction more than 100 crore. Okay, okay. Let's go for the next section, which says that is application withdrawn by applicant possible in case of this? Yes, the application can be withdrawn by application, but within 30 days. Okay, so let's go out and read what I have written. Yes, in this case, in that case, no further proceeding is done. Obviously, once the person have withdrawn his application, so why would the further proceeding should be done? No, na? But there are some cases. Now there are some cases where the question reason application cannot be accepted, where the AAR, Authority of Advance Ruling, shall not allow the application. Let's find out what are those. Okay, now if any application is already pending before Income Tax Authority and ITAT, if any of the application is pending before Income Tax Authority and ITAT, in that case the person, the applicant, cannot file in advance ruling. Is it clear? Hope this part was clear. But there is one exception in case of PSU. PSU, do you remember fourth point? Fourth point was of this. Let's go and check out this. I'm talking about this. Okay, so is the exception is for PSU. Okay, exception is for PSU, which means if the PSU's already case is pending before Income Tax Authority or ITAT, in that case he can again apply for advance ruling. Okay, he can the person can again apply for advance ruling. Okay, but if the case is already pending to High Court or Supreme Court of PSU, in that case the government company, they cannot go further for the advance ruling appeal. Is it clear? Let me say it once again. If any persons, we have 5 people who can go for the advance ruling, right? If any of them, if any of their case is already pending in either Income Tax Authority or ITAT, either Income Tax Authority or ITAT, in that case they cannot go for advance ruling. But there was exception in case of fourth, which is for PSU, which is for government company. Okay, they can, even though if their case is pending before Income Tax Authority and ITAT, they can again go for advance ruling, but not in case if their case is pending in High Court and Supreme Court. Is it clear? Yes. If the transaction is involved to determine fair market value of the property. If the transaction is involved to determine the fair market value of the property, obviously. Okay. So third point was to relate to the transaction design prima facie for avoidance of income tax. Now what is this? To avoid tax. Okay, if any of the transaction which is related to avoid the income tax, to avoid the tax, okay, to avoid the tax, and the person among those 5 categories is appealing for the advance ruling. Okay, in that case, if the transaction is related to avoid tax, they cannot again appeal in case of advance ruling. But there is again exception in this case, which is for point 4 and point 5. Point 4 was of PSU, right? Point 5 was of resident and non-resident for that GAAR point. Okay, which is related to impermissible avoidance agreement, which is GAAR. Is it clear? So these are the point where the person, the SSC, cannot go for the advance ruling. They are, first of all, if any of the cases pending before Income Tax Authority and ITAT, but not for the PSU. Okay, again for PSU, if their case is pending before High Court or Supreme Court, then again they cannot go for this. Okay, second point was of to determine the fair market value of their property. So this is not going to be entertained by advance ruling. Third point was of to if the transaction is related to avoid tax. In that case, the advance ruling is not possible. Okay, but there is one more exception for PSU and for the fifth point of resident and non-resident. Okay, they can still apply. Now AAR shall not apply the application. Which application? These. Okay. Now where same issue is not pending, I already told that the same issue should not be pending in ITAT or Income Tax Authority or ITAT. Is it clear? Yes. Or any of other two. Okay. Now let's go for the other point, which says if the application is not accepted, in that case opportunity of being heard is given to SSC, okay, to the applicant. Let's go for and check out what is written. Opportunity of being heard to be given to the applicant. Okay, reason for rejection is to be mentioned in the order, is to be given in the order by AAR. Okay, now AAR to pronounce within ruling within 6 months of receipt of application. Within 6 months of receipt of application, the AAR have to give the order. Okay, now the copy would be sent to whom? Of course, to the applicant, right, to the SSC, and second to the department up to CIT, PCIT level. Is it clear? Yes. Let's go for the next section, which says about the 245T, which is of advance ruling to be void ab initio. It's void ab initio. Okay, if advance ruling is obtained by application, now let's see what is written. If advance ruling is actually obtained by applicant either by way of fraud or misrepresentation of fact, either by fraud or misrepresentation of fact, in that case bar is going to make that again as void ab initio. Okay, the order which was passed by the bar will, what will he do? The bar is going to make the order as void ab initio. Okay, going to declare. Let's go and check out what I have written. Advance ruling obtained by applicant by way of fraud or misrepresentation of fact, in that case bar will declare such ruling as void ab initio. Is it clear? Yes. Let's go for the other section. Section 245 OB says about the board for advance ruling. There should be at least 2 members in the board. Okay, and who is going to constitute this? The central government is going to constitute this. Okay, let's check out now. The board should be at least of 2 members and the constituted by central government. Is it clear? Yes. Now the officers should not be below the rank of CCIT and PCIT. And who is going to nominate here? The CBDT will nominate them. Again, let's read out. The board for advance ruling should consist of minimum 2 members. Okay, and their rank should not be less than CCIT and PCIT. Okay, and which is to be constituted by whom? Central government. Okay, and again will be nominated by whom? The CBDT. Is it clear? Yes. Now let's go for the next section, which says about the power of authority for advance ruling under section 245 view. They have the same power. We have already discussed, we know this actually. Okay, so let's read out. To discover an inspection, to do the inspection, enforcing the attendance of any person, including any officer of banking company, and examine him on oath. Okay, third one says about the compiling the production of books, production of book of accounts and other documents. Fourth one, issuing commission. So what are the powers? Can go for discovery, can go for inspection, okay, for asking any of the officers, okay, and examine him as oath, okay, and compelling them to produce the book of accounts or any other documents which is required, and issuing commissions. These are the power of authority for advance ruling. Is it clear? Now once the order is passed by advance AAR, authority of advance rule, and the applicant is not satisfied by the order of AAR, then applicant can go for further appeal. Yes, under section 245W, the person can go for appeal, but to whom? Do you think that this is the right of only SSCs having this right to go for appeal? The department can also go for appeal here. So let's go out and read out. 245W subsection 1 says about the appeal to High Court. Appeal to High Court by whom? Applicant. By whom? Applicant. Within 60 days. Within 60 days from the date of communication of that ruling or order. Once the order is passed by the AAR, Authority of Advance Ruling, okay, the applicant is not satisfied with the order made by AAR, within 60 days of communication of that order, the SSC, the applicant, have to file the appeal for High Court within 60 days. Okay, now what about the assessing officer? They can also go for appeal in section 245W subsection 2. Okay, appeal to High Court. Again, appeal is given to whom? To High Court by assessing officer. CG, but in this case CG will make the scheme, okay, by issuing notification in the official gazette. That's it guys, that's it. So hope this topic of advanced ruling was clear to you, okay, and that's it. We'll till then, toodles guys.